So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to. So we are back with a brand new movie on What If Naruto Was Violet Eyes with Cute Girl movie, but before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. The last thing Naruto Uzumaki remembered before he died was he was fighting the Jubi-absorbed Madara alone. All of the Shinobi Alliance had been trapped in Infinite Tsukiyomi and Sasuke had died protecting him from a fatal blow. Who knew that Jerk really had redeemed himself? He remembered Madara saying something about, "You were destined to lose from the start," before being blasted by a huge black blast. Now, Naruto was in front of a door, his apartment door to be exact. The blonde knew that this is probably the afterlife, and slowly gripped the handle of the door. "At least I'll have a cup ramen before I go to heaven, Dadbao." He opened the door and looked at his vacant apartment. He slowly poured hot water into the cup ramen on his table. As he waited for the ramen to cook, he sighed and leaned back on his chair. "Sorry I couldn't save you all," he chuckled dryly. "So much for being the child of prophecy, huh?" He noticed that his ramen was now cooked. Naruto slowly opened the cover and mumbled, "Itadakimasu," before digging in. Half a minute later, he was finished. He looked at his surroundings and paused, remembering about the bijus inside him. He quickly dived into his mindscape. "Kurama, you there? Anyone?" Naruto asked worriedly. He panicked when he heard nobody was answering. He called for them again repeatedly, but there was no answer. "Is it because I died?" he thought sadly. Naruto looked back at his mindscape a last time before returning to his body. Now what? As soon as he said that, a black portal appeared in front of the table he was eating at. Slowly, a figure came out of the portal and stood directly in front of him. The figure is draped in a large white garment and carried a set of prayer beads. It also possessed long, shaggy white hair from which two red horns protrude, and dark grayish-blue colored skin. It also has a tanto in its mouth. "Yo, Shinigami," Naruto said flatly. "Come to take my soul away." "Hey, that sounded smooth," he cheered. Shinigami just looked at the boy with impassive gaze. Slowly, it began to speak. "As you know, you are dead. But, you had done many great deeds in your life, and I think you deserve a second chance." True to his words, the Shinigami really appreciated Naruto for saving many people from the brink of death, as the amount of souls will be lessened, and he didn't have to handle all the souls of the humans when they die. "Wait, really? Woohoo!" Naruto paused. "What do you mean by that, time travel?" "Peefed, yeah right, like I would Dadbao that," he chuckled dryly, but his eyes were looking at the Shinigami expectantly, hoping it to be real. "It's not time travel, more like living in another dimension," Shinigami said calmly. Naruto looked confused. "Now, live your life again." Before Naruto could blink, he felt his body glowing. The blonde stared at the Shinigami one last time and shouted, "Shinigami, why you do this?" And everything went black. When Naruto woke up, he realized that he was lying on a grassy field. He rose up and looked at his surroundings. "This is the third training ground, the place where my team used to meet up for missions. Ah, the memories." He then checked his outfit, and noticed that he was dressed in a black t-shirt and orange pants. "Hey, this is my outfit back in my genin days. Without the orange jacket, of course. Haha, good times." Then again, "I was still a genin when I died," he sweat drop. Naruto then stood up and flexed his muscles. It will be hard to get used to this body. He then slowly walked to a nearby pond. He looked at his reflection and gaped. No, it couldn't be. They were his symbol of pride, his manliness, his confidence. "Hey, where the hell is my whisker marks?" he shouted. Nobody knows it, but he really loved his whisker marks. They made him stood out more, and a reminder that he was once the badass Kyuubi Jinchuriki, he sighed. He still can't contact the bijus, maybe they were not affected by this dimension thingy. After calming down for a while, he looked again. He noticed that he looked younger. Rather, he looked like when he first became a genin, which was when he was 13. No wonder I felt that my body was smaller. But there was one huge difference though, his face was not as chubby as he was back then and he was not as short. He also noticed that his face looked rather like his father, not completely but similar. Hee, new body, I look handsome too. He grinned. What am I saying, I'm always handsome, at least after my training with Erosanin. Naruto then lied back down on the ground, his legs inside the water. So tired, I could have a good sleep now. All this dimension thingy isn't really my thing, he thought. He still didn't know if this was an alternate Konoha or another place entirely. Refusing to think about anything anymore, he quickly slept, not hearing the footsteps that were close to him nearby. Naruko Uzumaki was feeling very happy. She had just become a genin yesterday and she was excited to start her career as a ninja. Naruko was actually quite neutral about the revelation of her being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. She knew the older villagers hated her and always ignored her when she was younger. Worse, They even told their children to leave her alone back then. But what made her neutral was because even though she was hated before, now, most of the people she knew already accepted her. Naruko was different than her male counterpart. Because she was a female, she was weaker and frailer than Naruto. So she couldn't take care of herself properly after she was kicked out of the orphanage when she was 5. So, the third Hokage had ordered a female caretaker to take care of her. At first, the caretaker hated her like any other villagers, like scolding her for nothing and told her to clean the house by herself. But after living with Naruko for a while, she regretted what she had done. The girl was so kind and cheerful, even with all the hate on her. She didn't even hold a grudge against the caretaker for what she had done and often grinned at her like she would to any other person. After this, the caretaker had apologized to her in tears and took care of her like a mother would take care of her child. After that, many other people had also taken a liking to the cheerful girl for her kind and happy attitude. Unlike her male counterpart, she didn't prank anyone when she was a child, as she already had many people acknowledging her. Thus, more people had liked her and saw her as a cute and loving child. Even in the academy, she had many friends and all the teachers liked her, except for Mizuki, that is. Unlike her male counterpart, whose learning was sabotaged by the teachers. Naruko was the top kunoichi in the academy and easily the best in her class. The only reason she failed the genin test yesterday was because Mizuki had given her a harder test paper and went hard on her during the taijutsu portion. Added with her weakness with the clone jutsu, she had failed the test. But everyone knows that she was only weaker than Sasuke Uchiha. She didn't get why all the girls liked that prick anyway. He was rude and only grunted when she greeted him. Naruko also had many friends in the academy, such as Kiba Inuzuka, Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, Ino Yamanaka, Sakura Haruno and many more. But she was particularly close to Hinata Hyuga, and she often teased the heiress for her shyness. She was also the only one who greeted Shino Aburame when others avoided him for his bugs. With those reasons, Naruko was very popular in the academy. Overall, her life was not hard and was rather good. She had many precious persons and was happy in her life. She was also happy that she finally knew the reason why the villagers had hated her back then. As she walked in the training ground, she took out her new Hite Ite from her jacket's pocket and grinned. Naruko was dressed in an orange jacket with blue trims that was rather tight-fitting with a red Uzumaki swirl crest on the back and a mesh shirt underneath it. She also wore an orange short that reached her mid-thigh and blue shinobi sandals. For a 13-year-old girl, she was rather well developed in certain parts. She had golden blonde hair that was tied in pigtails that reached her mid-back. Her hair was tied with 2 black ribbons and her bangs reached her brows. She had violet eyes and whisker marks on each side of her cheeks. In conclusion, she was extremely kawaii. Hee, I'll show the world that I'll be the first female Hokage in history. Databane. Naruko cheered. Suddenly, she heard the sound of someone snoring, and it was quite loud. Why is someone sleeping in this training ground? This is my training spot. As she got closer, she found herself near a beautiful pond. She suddenly turned around when she heard someone shifting near her, and widened her eyes. In front of her was a sleeping boy who was lying on the ground. He looked like he had the same age as her. The boy had wild and spiky blonde hair and his eyes were closed with his bangs covering his forehead. Naruko was surprised to see someone with the same hair color as her. She must admit that he looked very handsome, maybe as handsome as that Uchiha jerk. She tiptoed until she was beside him and crouched. Naruko softly poked the boy's cheek with her index finger. Wakey wakey. She giggled cutely when she saw that the boy was pouting and drooling. Naruko leaned in closer and poked his cheek again. Wake up, stranger-kun. And suddenly, the boy's eyes snapped open. Naruto, who was ready to scold the person who woke him up, paused when he looked at Naruko. The girl looked exactly like his sexy jutsu. Well, except that she was younger and wore clothes. Now that he took a closer look, he noticed that the girl had violet eyes. Just like mother, she was also very pleasing to look at. Slowly a blush crept up on his face when he realized that her face was only inches from his face and she was staring at her weirdly. Naruko stared at the boy curiously, wondering why did the boy's face was red all of a sudden. But the thing she focused on the most was his cerulean blue eyes. They were so bright, she was quickly mesmerized by his eyes. After a while, she suddenly realized their close proximity and blushed lightly. They both quickly get away from each other. But unfortunately for Naruto, he fell down right into the pond. After screaming and shouting for a while, he managed to inhale the fresh air again. He quickly noticed that the girl was giggling at him. He blushed at how cute she looked. See cute, he quickly shook his head and glared. Hey, what's so funny? Naruto asked. The girl stopped her giggling and grinned at Naruto. You look funny when you fell down just now, Naruto answered happily. She noticed he was grumbling and quickly lent a hand towards the boy. Naruto grabbed it and mumbled a thank you, before being pulled by the surprisingly strong girl. They both sat on the ground, looked at each other at the same time, and laughed. Naruto quickly stood up and smiled at the boy. "My name's Naruto Uzumaki, the future Hokage, TT Ibane," she said cheerfully, not noticing the shocked look on the boy's face. "And Naruto? You Uzumaki?" Naruto thought frantically. She even said the future Hokage thingy. And she has a verbal tic like me. Although it is more like mom, but still, the boy sighed. Is this what the Shinigami meant when he said, living in another dimension? So she's basically my alternate female self? I didn't know I was that cute. Suddenly the boy noticed that the girl was tapping her foot while frowning at him. "Hey, are you going to introduce yourself or not?" Naruto asked impatiently. She was hoping that this handsome boy was friendlier than the Uchiha. "I guess I was sorry. My name is Naruto." Naruto quickly berated himself for giving her his real name, which was extremely similar to hers. Now he had to think of a clan name. How about? "The name's Naruto Namikaze. Datbeo," he said cheerfully. Will use his father name this time around, and if people ask, he will just say that he is a relative to the fourth Hokage. He looked similar to him anyways. "I can't say that I'm his son. I'm not from this dimension, but a relative will do. I'm so smart." Meanwhile, Naruto was a little bit taken back when she heard his name and was even more shocked when he also had a verbal tic like her. But she didn't care for all that. She had a new friend and was happy as he appeared to be quite friendly. Naruto slowly leaned in closer, until their noses were almost touching. She put her hands behind her back and smiled at him genuinely. "Nice to meet you, Naruto-kun." And Naruto quickly fell down on his butt from her greeting with a huge blush on his face. She was just too damn cute and beautiful. Nobody could be this cute, it's a sin. He quickly composed himself and stood up. "Well, nice to meet you." He still felt uncomfortable introducing himself to his female counterpart, but after composing himself, he returned to his normal self and grinned at her. "Naruko-chan." They grinned at each other, and Naruto blushed again because of her cuteness. I'm not a narcissist, Databayu." "So Naruto-kun, where did you come from? I've never seen you before in the village." Naruto immediately asked her new friend curiously, not noticing his faint blush. After all, she had never seen him in the academy before, even though they're the same age. Naruto rubbed the back of his head nervously and replied. I'm from a minor village outside Konoha, and I came here to become a shinobi of this village." "Yeah, that's it." Naruto ended with a nervous laugh. Naruto noticed his stutter, but didn't say anything. Maybe he's just shy, she thought. The girl then grinned and puffed out her chest. "Well, I'm a shinobi of Konohagakure. I just graduated last night." She took out her Hite from her pocket and tied it around her left arm proudly. "Are you a shinobi in your old village too?" the girl asked. Naruto nodded hesitantly. "I have some knowledge about ninja arts," he slowly asked her. So what do I have to do to become a shinobi in this village again?" Naruto sweat dropped and smiled at him. "You have to meet the Hokage, dummy," she said teasingly. She then paused and tilted her head slightly. "But graduation day is a week from now. Then again, you did say you have some knowledge about the ninja arts, right? I'm sure Gigi will let you serve the village," Naruto said happily. Gigi? Oh, the third Hokage, Naruto thought sadly. He really missed his grandfather figure, as he was one of the first few persons to treat him normally like any other kids. The last time he had seen his Gigi was when he fought together with him during the war. Naruto noticed his sad look and held his hand softly. "Naruto-kun, are you okay?" she asked worriedly. Naruto shook his head and smiled at her kindly. "Nah, just some old memories. Let's go meet the Hokage, Naruto-chan." She smiled at him and replied. "Sure. I was actually planning to go there after my daily training too before I found you. Something about taking my graduation photo. Oh well, let's go," Naruto said before dragging the boy to the village. Both of them were walking towards the Hokage Tower in a slow pace. Naruto was happily introducing him to the wonders of Konoha and all of its awesome buildings, while Naruto was thinking another thing entirely. She said she just graduated yesterday. And today she will take the graduation photo. That means, the village still hate me, her during this time. Naruto thought seriously. Gah. If I see any one of the villagers glare at her, I will glare them back. I will not let her experience those glare like I do. Believe it, he thought with resolve. Soon, they turned a corner into the busy marketplace. So imagine how surprised was Naruto when he saw many of the villagers smiled and greeted Naruto kindly. The girl returned their greetings with a cute wave, causing some of the older women to pat her on the head. Wait. Why is everyone smiling at her? She is the Kyuubi Jinchuriki like me, right? I doubt she had saved the village before, considering she is still a fresh genin, so. Why? Naruto thought frantically. He still remembered that he was still ignored by the village during this time. So why did the villagers seem to like his alternate female self? He looked again and noticed that there were some people who didn't greet Naruto and sent a little glare at her, which were completely ignored. Well, there are only a few people who still hate her, I see. This is an alternate dimension, but still. Naruto knew he should be happy for his female counterpart, but he can't deny that he also felt a tiny bit of jealousy inside him. Why was she loved by most of the villagers so easily? He had to save the village twice to get the recognition of the villagers, and yet for her, Naruto quickly shook his head. No, he should not be thinking like that. After a few minutes of walking, Naruto turned around and grinned at the silent blonde. Naruto-kun, we're here, she shouted. Naruto stumbled a bit and looked ahead. Like the girl said, the Hokage tower stood proudly in front of the two blonde. The Hokage monument was behind the tower. It was the most representative landmark of Konohagakure. Naruto grinned at him, expecting him to be impressed by the monument, but he just walked past her with his hands inside his pockets. He already seen it many times after all, he even painted the whole monument by himself. Well, let's go in then. Naruto said slowly and quickly entered the huge building. Naruto noticed that he was unusually quiet after they got out of the marketplace. I wonder if I did something wrong, she thought sadly, before quickly following her new friend. After they got in the tower, they immediately headed to the Hokage office. Naruto was confused because the boy seems to know his way around the tower, despite being here for the first time. When they reached the door to the Hokage office, the cheerful girl immediately entered, ignoring the secretary who was shouting at her. Naruto then slowly entered while smiling apologetically at the fuming secretary. Gigi. Naruto shouted before hugging the Sandame who was doing his paperwork. Hiruzen Sarutobi chuckled and patted her head. I brought a friend. He said he came from some minor village outside Konoha, and he wanted to become a ninja of this village. The girl said to him. He was confused at first, before noticing someone was entering the room after the girl. The old man looked at Naruto and gaped. Minato. The Sandame thought after looking at the boy who resembled the Yondaime so much. Meanwhile, Naruto was extremely happy to see his grandfather figure was alive. He wanted nothing more than to hug him, but he restrained himself to avoid any suspicion. Naruto gulped and nodded slightly at him. Hokage-sama, he said slowly. Hiruzen released Naruto from her hug and stared at the boy seriously. He was rather suspicious of this mysterious boy, who knew that maybe this boy was a ninja from another village and was trying to hurt Naruto or kidnap her for her Jinchuriki status. Naruto, noticing the sudden change of atmosphere, coughed to get their attention. Anyo, Gigi, where is the place where I can take my graduation photo? She asked. Hiruzen smiled at her and told the secretary to lead her away to the next room. After Naruto had gone out of the office, the aged Hokage quickly glared at the boy while raising his killing intent. Now, who are you? Nobody should have entered the village without alerting the guards, he said sternly. Naruto gulped and took a step forward. He wanted to tell him about where he was from and how much he had missed him, but he knew that saying he was from another dimension was too bizarre for anyone to believe. My name is Naruto. Like Naruto-chan said, I'm from a small village outside Konoha. Well, I entered the village stealthily and was planning to see you. He paused and looked at the Hokage. I may be a civilian at my old village, but I can be a ninja. And I wish to serve one of the 5 great ninja countries, Konohagakure, he said seriously. Hiruzen was slightly shocked by his name, since it was very similar to Naruto's. And why Konoha? He asked. Naruto slowly motioned around the room and back to Hiruzen again. The Sandame knew what he was thinking and waved his hand, causing all the Anbu in the room to disappear. The aged Hokage was a bit surprised that the boy knew about the hidden ANBUs. He nodded at Naruto, telling him to continue. Because, the Yondaime of Konoha was a possible relative of mine. The Sandame widened his eyes and looked at him again. He noticed that Naruto was serious when he said that, and not a sign of lie could be seen on his body. But what he didn't know that Naruto was the son of the Yondaime in his dimension, so saying that his father was his relative was not much of a lie. Not only that, but that would explain why the boy looked very similar to Minato. But Hiruzen would not be so trusting so easily. And why should I believe you? Minato was raised at the orphanage since he was a child. I've never heard anything about his clan. Naruto cursed inwardly. He completely forgot that his father was an orphan. Oh well, gotta make another lie then. Recently, some Konoha ninjas came to my village to do some missions. They told me about the Kyuubi attack that happened 13 years ago because they said that my face looked exactly like the Yondaime when he was younger and I reminded them of him. One of them said that maybe I'm his relative, since nobody has spiky blonde hair other than Minato. He paused for a bit, and I can't believe the villagers didn't notice it in my original dimension, he then continued. After hearing the sacrifice of the Undaime, I was inspired by his loyalty, so I decided to serve Konohagakure as one of its shinobi. After all, I'm also an orphan, so no one would probably care about my absence in my old village. Naruto said in one breath. Fuh, that was nerve-wracking. Maybe you're his relative, maybe you're not, but for now, I believe you. Naruto cheered inwardly. Hiruzen continued. Even so, how do you plan on becoming a ninja without any knowledge of being a shinobi? Hiruzen asked again. Naruto suddenly grinned at the old man and crossed his arms proudly. Don't worry. I already know most things about ninjas. I even trained myself to become one. Just give me a test and I could become a genin immediately. He grinned brightly. The grin reminded Hiruzen of Naruto for some reason, but he kept quiet. He was impressed by the boy's confidence. It's almost like the boy knew he would pass the test easily, and he himself didn't doubt the boy's abilities. But still, he was an outsider, so Hiruzen decided to test him a little bit. I see. He flared his chakra a bit and called out. Tenzo. Suddenly an Anbu wearing a mask that resembled a cat appeared beside Naruto and crouched. Hokage-sama, what are your orders? Tenzo said. He didn't know what was happening since the Hokage told the ANBUs to go just now, but he was ready to serve the leader of the village. Naruto was staring at the Anbu weirdly. Yamato-sensei. What is he doing here? Oh wait, he's still an Anbu now, but still, why did Jiji call him? Don't tell me. I order you to fight this boy, Naruto, in a taijutsu match, no weapon, just taijutsu and maybe substitution and clones. Don't hold back. The Hokage said. He then turned towards the gaping blonde. If you can defeat him, you become a genin. Hiruzen said with a smile. Wait, what? He's an Anbu. How can I defeat him, Ibeo? Naruto shouted. He knew that he probably could defeat Yamato, in his 16-year-old body that is. He's still not used to this younger body. Even though his taijutsu was strong, he doesn't have the muscle memory. Naruto looked at Tenzo and saw that the Anbu was facing him. You're smiling in that mask, aren't you? I bet you're grinning right now, right? You're happy to beat the shit out of a 13-year-old boy, right? You bastard? Hiruzen noticed his verbal tick, but didn't say anything. The boy was already mysterious as he is. He ignored his shouting and waved his hand. Fight. Tenzo immediately decked Naruto in the face, hard. Naruto was surprised and quickly did a backflip while rubbing his face. Hey, what the dabbeo? At least let's go to a training ground or something. This is the offik. He didn't get to finish his word as Tenzo rushed toward him and tried to punch him with his left hand. But this time, Naruto was ready. I'll show you my taijutsu, Yamato-sensei. Who cares about muscle memory? Naruto quickly spun his body, the fist narrowly grazing his shoulder. The blonde jumped and did a roundhouse kick with his left leg. Tenzo grabbed the leg with his right hand and threw the boy over his shoulder. Naruto spun his body in midair and landed on the Hokage's table steadily. The blonde then dashed in an amazing speed and tried to punch the Anbu. Tenzo saw this and was ready to grab the boy's wrist, but he suddenly felt someone gripping his arms tightly from behind. He turned his head and was shocked to see another Naruto behind him. A shadow clone? I didn't even see him do any hand seal. He turned to face Naruto again and saw a fist coming to his face. But before Naruto could hit him, he disappeared in a puff of smoke and a wooden log was replaced in his position. The blonde quickly retracted his hand to avoid hurting his hand. He suddenly saw a fist coming to his right and quickly ducked. He then kicked the arm of the offender to counter. But it proved to be a mistake as he felt his leg stuck to the ANBU's hand. He saw that his leg was wrapped in wood and quickly made a shadow clone. The clone punched the Anbu, but it turned to be a wood clone and it was destroyed by the punch in a single hit. Naruto did another backflip and tensed himself. Suddenly, he heard someone clapping. He turned around and saw that Tenzo was beside the Hokage and the old man was smiling at him. Well done, I never expected you to actually think of a battle strategy that quickly. Hiruzen smiled. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly and grinned. Tenzo, you may return to your position, so as the other ANBUs. Hiruzen said before the Mokuton user disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Su, I'm now a genin. I know I didn't defeat him but I was awesome, right? Naruto asked hopefully. Hiruzen chuckled and took something out from his drawer. He then faced Naruto again and threw a Hite Ite with black cloth to him. Naruto easily caught it with his right hand. Congratulations. From now on, you are officially a genin of Konoha, Naruto. Hiruzen paused, not knowing his last name. Naruto leaned in and slowly whispered. Naruto Namikaze. I'm a possible relative after all. He smiled nervously. He really wanted to show his power as a Namikaze. Hiruzen slowly shook his head. No, that will cause confusions among the ninjas and villagers. Plus it's not certain yet that you are his relative. For now, you'll be called Naruto, without a clan name. Hiruzen said seriously. Naruto just nodded sadly, disappointed that he can't use his father's clan name. One more thing, how is it possible that you can do the shadow clone? The only genin I know who can do that is Naruko-chan. Because of her huge chakra reserve. Plus you can even do it without any hand seal. The blonde sweat nervously and looked at the ground. Shit, I should not have done that. How'd I explain? Hiruzen noticed his nervousness and smiled. Don't worry Naruto, I will not ask you anymore. I can see that you are a kind and honest boy, and a strong one at that. He paused. As a condition for giving you the rank of genin too easily, I'll give you a mission, Hiruzen said seriously. Naruto nodded and asked. Already? What's the mission, old man? Hiruzen and the ANBU's sweat drop at his rudeness. Your mission is to protect Naruko Uzumaki until she becomes a capable kunoichi and can protect herself. Basically, you will become her bodyguard. The Hokage said sternly. Naruto nodded, knowing that it was probably because of the Kyuubi inside her. No questions? Hiruzen asked, slightly confused. He had expected the boy to ask something. Nah, even without the mission, I would still protect her, TT Ibeo. Naruto grinned while pointing a finger at himself. They smiled at each other, before the door suddenly opened and Naruko entered with a paper in her hand. She looked at the two for a while and noticed the Hite in Naruto's right hand. She immediately beamed. You're a ninja of this village too now, yay? Naruko cheered before hugging the boy. Naruto instantly blushed and slowly patted her back awkwardly. Hiruzen just smiled at Naruko's display of affection. After a while, she released herself from him and walked towards the Hokage table, much to Naruto's displeasure. Gigi, here's my graduation photo. Hiruzen looked at the paper and smiled. In the photo, Naruko was smiling with her eyes closed while doing a peace sign with both of her hands. Naruto leaned closer to look at the photo and blushed again. That's cute, I kinda expected her to paint herself, but oh well, the boy thought happily. Hiruzen suddenly coughed to get their attention. Naruto, you don't have a place to live, right? The Hokage asked the blonde-haired boy. Naruko quickly raised her hand and grinned. I know, he can stay with me. I have nobody in my house anyway, the girl mumbled the last part sadly. Hiruzen nodded slightly. Very well, I'm sure you don't mind, right, Naruto? The boy nodded quickly, actually excited to live with someone else, especially if she's a girl. As if reading his thoughts, Hiruzen looked at the boy. And I'm sure you will not do anything to her, correct? Naruto gulped at the sickeningly sweet smile the Hokage gave him. Suddenly, a young boy opened the door to the office. He wore a yellow shirt, gray shorts and a ridiculously long blue scarf. Fight me, old geezer, RAAAWRRR. Konohamaru let out a battle cry and dashed to attack Hiruzen, only to fall flat upon his face. Naruto and the ANBU's deadpan while Naruko giggled. Then, Ebisu came to the room while panting. Honorable grandson, please don't disturb the Hokage, Ebisu said to the boy. Naruto noticed that Ebisu was eyeing Naruko warily, and frowned. Ebisu Teme still hates her in this dimension, I see, he thought. Konohamaru slowly got up and pouted. The young boy then turned around and glared at Naruto. You tripped me, right? You must have set up a trap. How dare you do this to your future Hokage, Konohamaru? The boy said angrily. Naruto eyebrow twitched. Hey, you're supposed to get mad at the girl you squirt, even though she didn't do it. Naruko suddenly pulled Konohamaru's ear. Don't blame your mistake on other people, young man, she said while looking at the boy disapprovingly. Lay your hands off the honorable grandson demon. He's the grandson of the Sandame, Ebisu shouted at her. Konohamaru grinned and looked at Naruko, expecting her to release him in fear of the Hokage. Naruko released him, and flicked the boy on his nose, hard, causing him to fall down on his butt. I don't care who you are or what's your status, you should not be rude to your elders. Heck, I even defeated your grandfather before, Naruko lectured Konohamaru. Naruto looked at the scene in surprise. She is rather different, compared to me. He scratched his ear sheepishly. A few seconds later, Naruko took hold of Naruto's hand. Let's go, Naruto-kun. Bye-bye, Gigi, she said before dragging him out of the office. After they got out of the office, Ebisu quickly ran to Konohamaru's side. Honorable grandson, if you want to become Hokage, you must avoid people like her, he said. But Konohamaru was busy looking at the door where Naruko had left. Geez, that boy is such a brat, Naruko said to her new friend. They were currently headed to the park. Naruko said that she wanted to train there, thus Naruto followed. He was her bodyguard after all. Naruto knew that his female counterpart was not angry at Konohamaru, but was upset at Ebisu. She probably didn't face the villagers' glare as often as him, so she was not as used to it. If nobody had recognized her, I wonder what would have happened. The boy stopped walking and faced the ground. Naruko also stopped when she realized he was not following her. She hurriedly raced to his side. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? She asked the blonde. He looked up and faced the girl. Naruko-chan, did anyone ever glare or ignore you before? He asked slowly. Naruko's expression turned sad, before smiling again. Well, they used to. The first few persons to acknowledge me were the Sandame, the ramen store owner and his daughter, and Shirui Obaa-chan, she said sadly. Shirui Obaa-chan? Naruto asked curiously. He never heard of any woman named Shirui in his timeline. Naruko slowly nodded. She was my caretaker when I was 5. At first, she didn't like me too, because her husband died in the Kyuubi attack, she added inwardly. But after living with me for a while, she started to treat me like I was her own daughter. She even took care of me until I was 9. The blonde girl said fondly while facing the Hokage monument. She was the reason why I believed that even though many people might hate me at first, they can also learn to like me once they know me. Since then, I started to make friends with all the people that hated me. Sure, at first they tried their best to ignore me, but then they eventually opened up and become my precious friends. Naruto nodded. You mentioned that this Shirui took care of you when you were a child. Where is she now? He slowly asked. Before he realized it, he saw tears trailing down Naruko's cheek. She died when I was 9. Naruto wanted to apologize, but Naruko continued. I was walking home from the academy when an Enbu suddenly appeared in front of me. He told me that she was in the hospital because of a heart failure and was dying. I quickly rushed to the hospital to meet her, and when I reached her, she was nearing her limit. Naruko-chan, Shirui, a middle-aged woman with brown hair said to her surrogate daughter. Shirui Obaa-chan. Don't leave me. I don't want you to die, Naruko said while crying loudly. Listen here, Naru-chan. I'm reaching my limit, so I want to tell you something first. Naruko nodded and she continued. You want to become the Hokage, right? The young girl nodded again, her tears falling down rapidly. Then remember, always learn to forgive, no matter how bad they treat you at first. Because, that's what you did to me, right? She smiled while stroking Naruko's cheek. I used to think that my life was hard after my husband died, but when I saw you, grinning happily and always smiling, despite all the hate directed at you, I realized that I shouldn't have blamed you for my husband's death. Of course, Naruko didn't know what she was talking about at the time, and was too busy crying to notice it. Naruko, remember, always protect your precious person, treasure them, meet some new friends, eat your vegetables. Naruko chuckled with tears in her eyes. You're like a daughter I've never had, Naruko. She motioned Naruko to come closer, and slowly kissed her forehead. She then smiled. Goodbye, my Naru-chan. Then her breathing stopped, and she was gone from the face of earth forever. Naruko cried a river and sobbed uncontrollably. All the nurses tried to move her but failed. But even though her Obaa-chan was gone, she will always remember what her Obaa-chan had said to her. By the time she was finished, Naruto was already covering his face, preventing his tears from coming out. Sure, he faced the villagers' hate and was ignored longer, but Naruko had lost her mother figure, the person who took care of her every day for 4 years, when she was just 9. He immediately regretted for being jealous of her. Naruto looked at her again and saw that she was crying while facing away from him. After a while, Naruko suddenly spun around and smiled genuinely at Naruto. You are probably the first person I had told this to, so, Naruto-kun. Remember, you are my precious person too. Databane. Naruto looked at her and returned her smile. Before she knew it, Naruto was already hugging her. And Naruto-kun? She said while blushing slightly. I'll never let you get sad again. We'll protect our precious person together, Naruko. Naruto slowly let go of her after a few seconds and grinned. Nothing. Let's go to the park, Naruko-chan. She nodded and took hold of his hand, and led him to the park with a smile on her face. Sue, what do you want to do now? Naruto asked after they reached the park. The park was as plain as he remembered back then. He shifted his head and saw Naruko stretching. The girl jumped for a few times and grinned at him. I could start my training, but she looked at a moving box that was near them. You can come out now, Konohamaru. The box was thrown away and revealed itself to be the Sandame's grandson. Muahaha. As expected of the one who defeated the Hokage, he said with a grin. Naruko-sensei, please teach me the jutsu that defeated Grandpa. I want to become the Hokage. The boy said pleadingly. Naruko grinned and patted his head. Sure, I'll teach you my secret jutsu, she said happily. Naruto had to wonder what sort of jutsu she used too. Is it the sexy jutsu, or another jutsu entirely? He slowly sat down and watched as Naruto whispered something to Konohamaru. Naruto expected to see them training the sexy jutsu, but she had surpassed his expectations. Naruto was already teaching the boy how to use the new sexy jutsu. Unlike sexy jutsu, new sexy jutsu transforms the person into a beautiful woman wearing a revealing devil's outfit while posing seductively. This is because presenting the woman wearing this outfit was more effective than presenting the woman fully nude. That was because the outfit was cut and shaped to make the victim obsessed over wanting to see more of the woman's body. But I have to wonder, where does she get all the research material to do this? He thought to himself. Suddenly, both Naruto and Konohamaru sat in front of him. The young boy was noticeably panting. Thanks for all the training, boss lady, Konohamaru said while smiling brightly. At this rate, I'll become the Hokage in no time, he said with a grin. Can I ask? Why are you after your grandpa all the time, Kono-chan? Naruto asked curiously. Konohamaru blushed slightly at the nickname. He then looked down and gritted his teeth. Everyone, whenever they see me or call me, they only see me as the grandson of the Hokage. Nobody recognizes me as myself. I'm sick of it already. That's why I want the Hokage name right now, he said with vigor. Both Naruto and Naruto smiled sadly at the boy. Don't worry Konohamaru, you'll be an awesome ninja in the future. Believe it, the blonde boy thought inwardly. Idiot, who would acknowledge a kid like you, Naruto said slowly. Konohamaru looked at her in surprise. The Hokage title isn't something a little brat could take, it isn't kid's play, Hokage, if you want that title that bad, then. Then what? The young boy shouted. Naruto looked at him determinedly. Then you have to beat me first, she proclaimed. Konohamaru stared at the girl in awe. Suddenly Naruto coughed. Hey, don't forget about me. I'm gonna become the Hokage too, ya, no. He grinned. Naruto puffed out her cheeks. Hey, why is everyone stealing my dream now? She shouted, but one could see that she was smiling. They all then laughed together joyfully. Soon after, they heard someone moving and saw Ebisu glaring at them. I found you, he shouted. The demon bitch. He looked at the girl with disdain. Honorable grandson, let's go home now. No, I'm gonna defeat that old geezer and get the Hokage title, so don't get in my way. Konohamaru shouted. Ebisu smirked. A Hokage must be well taught in every aspect of being a shinobi. You must master 1,000 skills and then finally, He paused when he looked at the young boy who was doing the ram hand seal. Henge. Konohamaru shouted. Suddenly, the boy turned into a beautiful woman wearing a revealing devil's outfit and posed seductively. Take this, new sexy jutsu. After a while, he turned back to his original form and looked at the gaping Ebisu. It didn't work? Naruto was also thinking the same thing. Impossible. New sexy jutsu was supposed to be more effective than the original. Ebisu should have fainted by now. Is it because this is an alternate dimension? Maybe his resistance to sexy girls had improved? Ebisu wiped a trail of blood that came out of his nose. What a perverted skill. I'm a gentleman, such a dirty skill will not work on me. He suddenly grabbed Konohamaru's scarf and pulled him. If you hang out with a trash like her and her friend, you'll become stupid. Just do what I say. I'm your easiest shortcut to becoming Hokage. Now let's go home, he shouted, despite Konohamaru protests. Naruto was ready to knock him out with harem jutsu, but Naruto beat him to it. She stood in front of Ebisu and did the ram hand seal. A burst of chakra suddenly surrounded her body. Hey, how foolish, I'm an elite tutor, I'm not that weakling Mizuki, Ebisu said proudly. Suddenly, Naruto grinned. Henge. White smoke instantly flooded the entire area. When it receded, Ebisu faced Naruto again and gaped. In front of him was a kid no older than 7, wearing an orange singlet and a blue short skirt. The girl blonde hair was tied in short and cute pigtails. The girl was holding a frog pillow in one hand and the other was rubbing her eye cutely while yawning. The girl opened her eyes and beamed at Ebisu. Ohio, Ebisu Oji-chan. As soon as she said that, blood immediately erupted from Ebisu's nose, sending him flying high into the air. Meanwhile, Naruto was gaping at the girl's such skill. I've never seen anything so dangerous and effective, Ibeo. In the Hokage office, Hiruzen also suffered a minor nosebleed. Naruto returned to her original form and grinned at the two gaping boys. That was the lowly jutsu, Ibane. The boys nodded vigorously while copying some notes in their hands. That was awesome boss lady. You defeated my tutor, Konohamaru grinned. I really want a name people will acknowledge my by, and yet, suddenly, Naruto hit him slowly on the head. It's not that easy, dummy. Naruto said with a soft smile. This is the Hokage title, the title of the greatest shinobi in the village. Naruto crossed his arms and continued for her. You must be ready to face all the bad things, and you must find someone that will acknowledge you and trust you. But it will be difficult, he said slowly. Naruto slowly patted Konohamaru's head. If you want an incredible title like Hokage, which everyone will acknowledge, the blonde girl suddenly crouched and smiled genuinely at the young boy. There ain't going to be any shortcuts, Naruto said kindly. Konohamaru looked at her in awe. He then blushed and quickly looked away. Naruto just smiled at the scene. Hey, you go, Naruto-chan. Konohamaru then looked at both Naruto and Naruto again with a determined expression. I'm not letting you be my boss anymore, Naruto-ne-chan. The boy said and put his hands on his hips. From now on, we're all rivals, he said with a grin. They all smiled at each other happily. After a moment, Konohamaru suddenly looked at Naruto. And when I become the Hokage, I will marry Naruto-ne-chan. So don't you dare steal her from me. And Naruto's smile quickly faltered. Naruto blushed lightly and giggled at the young boy's antics. Whoa, who told you you'll become the Hokage? I'm gonna become the Hokage first, you brat. They glared at each other heatedly. And both Naruto-chan and I will become a shinobi in a week. Haha, take that. Naruto grinned at the sulking boy. Naruto chuckled and smiled at the young boy. One day, we'll all fight each other for the Hokage title, she patted the boy's head again. And I'll be looking forward to our fight, Kono-chan. Naruto gave him a grin. Konohamaru nodded shyly and smiled. Naruto looked at the heartwarming scene again. Hey, everything turned out better than expected, he paused for a bit. My female count, no, Naruto-chan is very awesome, like me, TT Ibeo. He then joined in and lectured Konohamaru about hard work, causing Naruto to giggle. Naruto-kun, what is your favorite element? Naruto suddenly asked the blonde boy. They were walking to Ichiraku Ramen after parting ways with Konohamaru. Naruto told him that it was the best ramen stall of all Elemental Nation, and Naruto agreed wholeheartedly. They were chatting about elemental jutsu when the girl asked him the question. Mine is wind. Well, because my elemental affinity is wind, I guess, he said with a grin. Naruto looked at him, slightly shocked. You know your elemental affinity? I thought we only train in elemental jutsu when we are Junin or Chunin? She asked curiously. Yes, we only train elemental jutsu when we have more chakra, but we can know our elemental affinity by using chakra papers. Just pump a bit of chakra into the paper and you'll know your affinity. Although I doubt we can find any right now, he rubbed the back of his head. Nah, never mind that. Look, there's Ichiraku Ramen. Let's go, she said happily and dragged Naruto by his arm. Naruto was also cheering inwardly. Ramen, here I come. When they reached the store, both of them immediately ordered 5 bowls of miso ramen, although Naruto's had vegetables in them. Tucci and Ayame didn't mind Naruto since she often ordered many bowls at once, but her companion was different. He even finished his ramen faster than Naruto. The blonde girl was also looking at the boy weirdly. Naruto-kun, you should put some vegetables in your ramen too, TT Ibane, she said to her friend. Naruto nodded hesitantly and told Tucci to add some veggies in his bowl. After they finished eating, Naruto offered to pay for Naruto's meal, which was a good thing since Naruto completely forgot that he don't have any money. Ayame, sensing the opportunity, quickly sat beside Naruto. Naru-chan, who's that handsome boy? Is he your boyfriend? Ayame asked in a teasing tone. Naruto blushed and quickly denied it. Meanwhile, Tucci was looking at Naruto with a sweet smile. I'll have you know, that I love Naruto like my own child. So you better not do anything to her, you understand? Naruto gulped and swiftly nodded. Tucci can be very scary at times. After they got out of the ramen store, they walked together to her house while chatting happily, not noticing someone running to them. Kiba Inuzuka was happily walking down the street, but at the same time he was sad as well. He was happy to become a ninja, but Naruto-chan didn't graduate. He really wanted to be on the same team with her because she's his friend and crush. When Kiba first met her in the academy, he thought that Naruto was another girl who was only pretty and not strong at all. So he was shocked when she easily defeated him in a taijutsu spar. After that, he kept challenging her several times, but was always defeated. He was really frustrated until one day. 10-year-old Kiba growled after losing a fight with Naruto again. He was lying on the ground, panting heavily. Why was she stronger than him? He was supposed to be stronger than her, she's just a girl. Suddenly, he noticed Naruto was walking toward him. Grr, what do you want? Want to boast about your victory again? Next time I will defeat you, you're just a girl. He scowled at her. Naruto just stared at him blankly, before hitting him on the head. Ouch! What the hell, woman? He shouted. Naruto suddenly crouched and flicked his nose. Just because I'm a girl doesn't mean that I must be weaker than you. Who told you to slack off during taijutsu lessons? You're not an Ari, you know? She told him. Kiba pushed her hand away and smiled arrogantly. Hey, I'll have you know that I have training in my clan taijutsu. Why should I learn the academy ta? He was interrupted when Naruto hit his head again. Stop that. If you can't even perform the academy's stance, how do you expect to master your clan's taijutsu? You must learn to fight with the simpler style first before advancing to a harder one. There is not shortcut to become strong in something. You must always start from a scratch. Then only you will succeed. She finished with a smile. If you want, I can teach you what you've missed, Databane. Kiba was shocked. He did not expect this girl to lecture him, and what she said was completely true. After looking at the girl, he blushed and slowly nodded. Naruto grinned and quickly helped him up. Kiba returned her grin and a new friendship was born. Kiba smiled stupidly after imagining a scene where he saved Naruto from an enemy shinobi and she gave him a kiss. He quickly shook himself from his stupor when he heard his crush's voice. He turned at a corner and saw Naruto chatting happily with a handsome blonde boy. His eyebrow twitched and he immediately rushed to them. Naruko-chan. The feral boy shouted before hugging Naruto from behind, which caused her to hit him with a strong uppercut. Kiba rubbed his chin while sulking. Ouch, stop hitting me when I do that. Then stop hugging me from behind, Naruto shouted back. She shook her head with a smile and helped the boy up. So what are you doing here, Kiba-kun? She asked happily. Kiba grinned and immediately chatted with her while looking at Naruto with a smirk. Kiba. I actually graduated, Naruto said happily while showing him her hite that was tied around her left arm. Kiba widened his eyes and immediately spun her around in a hug. Woohoo! Now we may have a chance to be on the same team, he cheered. Naruto just giggled and slowly released herself from the boy. I don't remember being close to Kiba at this time. Oh well, alternate dimension. I keep forgetting that. Naruto thought. Wait, why is Kiba looking at me like that? Don't tell me, he's jealous? Naruto suddenly stopped talking and took hold of his hand. Kiba-kun. This is Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun. This is Kiba-kun, she said happily. Naruto gave a grin and held out his hand. Kiba was a little surprised because of his name, but grinned nonetheless. He then shook Naruto's hand, hard. Yep, he's jealous all right. Naruto sweat drop. After a while, they retract their hands. Well, I'll get going now. See ya, Kiba-kun, Naruto said before dragging Naruto again. Kiba gave a wave, and glared at Naruto one last time. He looks like a decent guy, but I'll never let him have her, the feral boy thought before walking away. We're here, Naruto said as she opened the door to her apartment. It was already night by the time they reached home, since Naruto insisted on buying him some new clothes. Naruto looked inside and gaped. Her house is way cleaner than mine. What the heck? Both of them entered the apartment and took off their shoes. So Naruto-kun, what do you think about Konoha so far? Naruto asked. Naruto grinned and wiped his nose. Awesome. Konoha is really an awesome and beautiful village, Dadbeo. The boy answered. After all, he did sacrifice his life several times to save his beloved village. So it's rather obvious that he loved Konoha. Naruto giggled and led him to the living room. She then motioned him to sit on the couch. Yawn. Well, you'll have to sleep on the couch until I buy a new bed. I'll shower now, you can go in after me. Oh, and I'll bring some pillow later, you can wear your new pajamas then, Naruto-kun. She said before entering her room. Naruto took out his new sleepwear and laughed. She actually bought him a green pajama which was filled with pictures of toads. After a while, he heard Naruto called him, saying that she was finished. He stood up and quickly headed to the bathroom while bringing his sleepwear with him. After he finished showering, he took off his t-shirt and pants, and quickly wore the new pajama. When he got to the living room, his jaw dropped. Standing in front of the couch was Naruto, wearing a translucent light blue dress that completely showed her figure. Her hair was down and it reached her mid-waist. Naruto quickly covered his nose to prevent the blood from coming out and turned his head away. So beautiful, God, what am I saying? I'm her unofficial bodyguard, god damn it. Naruto noticed him and waved her hand with a grin. He slowly walked to her, still looking away. Here's your pillow. I already arranged the couch to make you more comfortable, she said with a cute smile. Naruto nodded and quickly lied down on the couch, covering his face with the pillow. He heard Naruto chuckled and after a few seconds, he heard her walking away. Fuh, I hope she didn't see my blush, damn it, why does she has to be so cute? Naruto screamed inwardly. He slowly turned his head and paled. Naruto was in front of him, crouching. Before he could say anything, the girl kissed his forehead, causing him to blush heavily. Shirui Obaa-chan always did that to me before I went to sleep. She said it would prevent me from having bad dreams, so that's why I did that to you too. she said happily. Naruto looked at the girl softly and smiled back. Good night, Naruto-chan. The girl looked at him for a moment before she stood up. She put her hands behind her back and gave a small smile, the moonlight from the window behind her causing her to look even more beautiful. Good night, Naruto-kun. Wakey wakey. 1 minute. Wake up, Naruto-kun. Geez, let me sleep, you annoying but adorable voice. Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki clapped both of the sleeping boy's cheeks. Naruto immediately woke up and glared at the girl that still had her hands on his face. Why did you wake me up? It's only 7 in the morning, Naruto said while pointing at the clock on the wall. But we must train in the morning, Naruto-kun. How else would we become great ninjas? A future Hokage like me must work hard and train every single day, only then I will become strong, Naruto said with vigor. Naruto just yawned and slowly got up from the couch. Yeah, geez, you're not even a genin yet, he mumbled. Now go and take a bath. We cannot waste any more time. Go, Naruto said with a bright grin as she pushed Naruto towards the bathroom. Oh okay. No need to push me, and how about breakfast? We'll eat later. Eating after training makes the breakfast even more satisfying. Several minutes later, Naruto and Naruto were walking together in the middle of the street of Konoha. Both of them were dressed like the previous day. So where are we going, Naruto-chan? Naruto asked with his hands behind his head. A nearby training ground that most people rarely use. We're gonna meet some of my training friends there, Naruto said while stretching her shoulders. Training friends? Yeah, they're genins that graduated last year. Oh, Naruto mumbled. For some reason, my guts are telling me they're. Yosh. Good morning, Naruto-chan. You're as bright and youthful as ever, said a thick-browed boy in a green spandex. Lee. No need to be so loud in the morning. A girl that tied her hair into buns reprimanded her friend. Bushy Brows and his team told Ya, my guts are always right. Haha, okay Lee-kun. You're hyper today as well, good, because Lee is not Lee when he's not youthful, right? Naruto said as she made cute a little hop. Anyway, this is Naruto-kun, she said as she took her new friend's hand. Yo, Naruto's the name, nice to meet Cha, Naruto said with a smile. He had always considered the members of Team Guy his close friends. He truly missed spending time with them. Lee and Tenten looked slightly surprised at their similar names, but shrugged it off. Nice to meet you. Are you here to train with us too? Rock Lee asked. Calm down, Lee. Not everyone is a training freak like you, Tenten said while massaging her head. Naruto giggled a bit when she said that. Nah, I'm just taggy. Naruto-kun will train with us, Naruto interrupted before he could decline the training invitation. Right, Naruto-kun. I want to see your skills too. Ya, no? Naruto looked at Naruto with a smile. Alright. Yosh, now let's start with weapon and agility training. Tenten, lend our two friends your shuriken or kunai. Okay. Naruto-chan, here. Tenten said as she lent Naruto a scroll. Naruto-san, do you prefer using kunai or shuriken? She asked the boy. Kunai, I guess. Naruto said with a shrug. Tenten nodded before lending him a pouch of kunai. Naruto wondered why she only gave him a pouch instead of a scroll like Naruto. Now, let's do the usual training. Naruto-chan, Tenten, throw those shurikens at me and Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun, prepare to dodge. Lee shouted as Naruto and Tenten suddenly stood far from him and Naruto. The blonde boy noticed that Tenten was sporting an extremely terrifying smile. Naruto looked confused. What did Ya say, Agai? Take this, you shitty bastards. Here I come. Dodge. The boy in spandex shouted again before jumping away. Naruto quickly dodged from whatever coming for them. Soon enough, he realized that the place he and Lee had been before were already stabbed with shuriken and kunai. What the he? Naruto couldn't finish his sentence as another rain of projectiles was heading towards him. Soon, we could see Naruto and Lee dodging and jumping without stopping for once. The girls were relentless, or rather, Tenten was relentless. They kept shooting the boys' projectiles with vigor. Naruto was laughing cheerfully as she opened her scrolls while Tenten was laughing like a madman. More. Run away, you fools. Ta ha ha ha. The bun-haired girl was laughing like a madman as she kept opening scroll after scroll. Naruto had to wonder where she kept all that. Tenten, big sis, calm down, the blonde girl said with a sweat drop, although she knew Tenten probably didn't even hear what she said. Since when did Tenten become a sadist? I thought she was the most sane person in Team Guy? Naruto thought frantically as he struggled to dodge the shurikens. His muscle memory was just plain terrible. He dual-wielded two of his kunai to block the projectiles. What's with that laugh? Is she really planning to kill me, a boy she just met? Yash. You looked surprised, Naruto-kun. Lee said as he hopped from one tree to another. I too was surprised at Tenten's behavior at first, but after a year of training with her, I got used to it. Scratch that. I can't believe you're dodging those damn things so easily. The power of youth. Several agonizing minutes for Naruto, and pleasurable minutes for Tenten. Later, the rain of projectiles finally stopped. Ta-ha-ha-ha. You managed to dodge most of the projectiles. Impressive, Tenten laughed as she clutched her head. Or maybe I should use explosive kunai next time. Hee. More. Big sis. Naruto quickly hugged Tenten from behind, and slowly, the bun-haired girl blinked and calmed down. Huh, oh. Good work, Naruto-san, you're pretty fast. Tenten smiled at Naruto, but the boy was too busy hugging himself to notice. Why Yash? Now let's train our taijutsu, Lee commanded, slightly scared at Tenten's behavior. Tenten and Naruto-chan will spar with each other. Naruto-kun, you'll fight me. Don't worry, I know you're a new graduate, I'll hold back. Oh yeah, okay. Naruto shook his head and turned towards Lee. Should we go further away? Yes, now follow me, Lee said before walking inside the forest near the field, with Naruto following him. Good luck, Naruto-kun. Naruto waved at the boy happily. She then turned towards her longtime friend. Tenten, let's spar. Okay, Naruto-chan. Tenten shouted before charging at the girl. She immediately raised her hand to punch, while Naruto quickly blocked it with her arms. The punch staggered her for a bit, but she regained her footing and quickly kicked Tenten in the abdomen. The bun-haired girl grunted and grabbed the leg that kicked her, before throwing Naruto away towards a tree trunk. Naruto back-slammed into the tree, but not hard enough to cause any bruises. Watch me, big sis, I'll defeat you this time. Naruto grinned and used her legs to propel herself towards Tenten. The two girls then continued trading blows after blows, but neither of them was showing signs of weakening. Gia. Naruto groaned as Tenten trapped her in a headlock. You still got a long way to go before you can beat me, Naruto-chan. Tenten smiled before letting the younger girl go. Naruto dusted her clothes with a pout on her face. And I was holding back too. No fair. You clearly went all out, after I accidentally said you like Neji-kun. Naruto shouted back, a teasing smile on her lips. What? No, of course not, you stupid girl. Tenten quickly covered her red face. Naruto laughed for a while before jumping back up. Oh well, I lost. Not surprising since your sensei is a taijutsu specialist. The blonde girl mumbled. Tenten, let's go see Naruto-kun and Lee-kun. Sure. Now that I noticed, they're not here yet, right? I doubt Naruto-san would survive fighting with Lee this long. I wonder what happened. Let's go. Take this, bushy brows. Prepare yourself, Naruto-kun. Bam, their fists clashed with each other, and the two quickly jumped away before kicking at the same time. Their legs hit each other, and Naruto quickly used his other leg to hit Lee's calf. The older boy countered by bending his body and grabbed both of Naruto's legs. He swiftly kicked the blonde upwards repeatedly, causing Naruto to groan in pain. Waka! Lee shouted before sending a very hard kick at the blonde. Naruto rocketed upwards and Lee propelled himself towards him using a nearby tree branch. When the older boy was holding back his fist to deliver a punch, Naruto smirked and spun vertically before executing a powerful axe kick, sending Lee crashing to the ground. Before Lee could get up, Naruto landed on his stomach, further pushing him into the ground. Gah! Before Naruto could celebrate his victory, however, Lee uppercut him, throwing him away. Ouch! Damn bushy brows. The two panted and slowly get up. Naruto wiped his forehead while Lee made several small hops. That was great, Naruto-kun. I haven't felt this enjoyment of fighting somebody in a long time. Lee said with a huge smile on his face as he gave a thumb up towards the blonde. Me too. Man, I love sparring. It's also a good way to train this new body of mine. Naruto mumbled the last part. I actually had to use 80% of my power just now. You're just too good, Naruto-kun. Actually, I think your taijutsu is way more efficient than mine. It's so unpredictable and full of surprises. Even though for some reason it lacked power, you managed to hit me more than I hit you. I know, I'm awesome, ya. No, can't tell him that I held back to not do any strikes that will cause him injuries. But I can't help but notice that your movements were a bit sluggish. The only reason I can dodge your attacks is because I'm faster than you. It's weird, your taijutsu is better with its unpredictable attacks, but your body reaction are slightly lacking, Naruto-kun. It's not my fault I grew smaller, Naruto muttered to himself. If he were to go all out with his taijutsu, he could definitely defeat him. Because while Lee is an insane taijutsu user, even at this age, Naruto is a 17-year-old boy at heart. He has much more battle experience, so obviously his taijutsu will be superior, especially with his frog kata and wide-reaching, fast attacks he uses in his transformations. We should spar more then, Lee. I can increase my power and all that, while you can predict your opponent moves more easily. Yosh. The two then shared a fist bump. What the heck happened here? Tenten shouted as she observed her surroundings. The place was full of broken tree branches and the trees were full of holes. Naruto, who was beside her, also wondered the same thing. Tenten, Naruto-chan. Naruto-kun here is really strong. He almost got me several times. Lee said with his flashing smile. Both of the girls looked surprised at his statement. You shouldn't go all out on a fresh genin, Lee, Tenten scolded her friend. Don't worry about it, it was a great spar. Naruto grinned widely. Lee rubbed his head embarrassedly before turning to Naruto. Did you manage to defeat Tenten today, Naruto-chan? Lee asked the girl with a toothy grin. Naruto shook her head, huffed. I lost, it's not fair, she didn't hold back when I said she liked Neji-kun. I don't like him, you stupid girl. The boys laughed but quickly stopped seeing Tenten's death glare on them. I just bought a bundle of explosive tags the other day. Want me to destroy you bastards with it, huh? You like that, don't ya, you piece of shits, the girl said as she licked a kunai sadistically. The boys quickly shook their heads and looked away. One thing for sure, this Tenten is definitely different than the one I know, she's terrifying. What's the time now? Naruto suddenly asked. Tenten looked at her wristwatch and answered. 8:30, why do you ask? Oh, Neji-kun isn't coming today? The blonde girl asked. Neji said he'll be a bit late since he is training Hinata-chan and Hanabi-chan. Lee answered with a laugh. Maybe he'll bring them today. I sure hope so. I want to cuddle Hanabi, that cute little girl, Tenten said with a smile. Oh yeah, I want to tell Hinata that I graduated, since I bet most of the class thought I failed, Naruto cheered. Why would they think you failed? Tenten questioned. After that, Naruto told Lee and Tenten how Mizuki tricked her and how Iruka saved her. She didn't tell them about the Kyuubi thing, at least not yet. As the three chatted, Naruto thought what Lee said just now. Neji said he'll be a bit late since he is training Hinata-chan and Hanabi-chan. Why does it sound like they're close to Neji, and Neji, training Hinata and her sister? Naruto pondered. Isn't Neji supposed to be a prick this time around? I doubt he would want to train Hinata. Yet it seems that the sisters had already met those three. Lee, Tenten. A serious voice suddenly called out. The four turned around and saw a certain branch member Hyuga walking towards them. Neji. You are late to our youthful training. We have a new boy training with us today, and he's extremely youthful, Lee said to his teammate. Neji Hyuga raised an eyebrow and looked at Naruto. The blonde wanted to cry and hug the guy or something. After all, Neji was the first of their peers to die in the war, and Naruto still haven't got over his close friend's death. Noticing that Neji was looking at him, he awkwardly bowed and smiled. My name is Naruto. Yeah, I know it's similar to Naruto-chan there, but nice jacket, haha. Naruto struggled to speak, since he was uncomfortable yet happy seeing his dead friend alive again. Before he could embarrass himself further, Neji spoke. Naruto-san, I'm Neji Hyuga, it's a pleasure to meet you. Neji said with a small smile. Lee said you're extremely youthful, which is rare, since he rarely used the word extremely on anybody except Gai-sensei. You must be strong for him to say that. He chuckled. Are you okay, Naruto-san? In Naruto's mind? Holy Hagoromo. He's super friendly. I thought there was still an iron bat stuck in his ass, but it seems like the iron bat is replaced with cotton candy. Wow. Now I'm wondering how it feels to sit on a fluffy cotton candy, the blonde thought in amazement. Ahaha, I'm sorry. I was thinking about having a spar with you. Naruto grinned. Neji looked surprised for a second before smiling. You sure are eager to spar, and I can see you're no slouch either, with these broken tree branches on the ground. The Hyuga said, impressed. Neji-kun. Naruto said cheerfully as she jumped in front of the boy. Where's Hina and Hanabi-chan? Oh, Hinata said she and Hanabi are at the nearby pond where we often train our water walking. Neji said. You and Tenten should go there first. I want to test Naruto-san's strength and spar with Lee. The boy stated. Naruto nodded and quickly took hold of Tenten's hand. Tenten nay, let's go. The cheerful girl grinned as she dragged the older girl. Geez, calm down you hyper girl, Neji. Be sure to come, okay? You still haven't done your agility training. You better not skip it like you did last time, if not I'll castrate you, Tenten said the last part sadistically. Neji shivered as expected. Is she always like that? Naruto asked curiously. Lee and Neji turned towards him and nodded. You should see her when she fights with explosive kunai. Trust me, you'll never see her as an average subpar kunoichi again. Neji said as he tried to erase the memories of Tenten destroying a whole forest just to kill a single bandit. I'm lucky I was too busy hugging a tree to see all that, Lee said with a relieved face. Should we start sparring now? Neji asked the two boys. The two nodded and Neji quickly took his Juken stance, while Lee took his Goken stance. Naruto just stretched his shoulders and hopped from one leg to another. Fighting Lee made me more adjusted to this body, believe it. Yosh, let's go. Lee shouted before disappearing in a green blur. Neji swiftly turned to his side and blocked Lee's kick his arms. Lee grinned and used both of his legs to kick the Hyuga repeatedly in lightning speed. But Neji managed to parry all of it with his palms without problem. Don't forget about me ya, too. Naruto suddenly shouted as he delivered a double axe kick to the two older boys' shoulder from above, which they both blocked. Neji quickly grabbed Naruto's leg and hand-chopped it. Naruto retaliated by punching the Hyuga in the face and kicked Lee away with both of his feet. Lee flipped back before propelling himself towards the blonde. The two clashed fists several times before Neji suddenly appeared between the two and blasted the both of them away with his palms. The other two quickly recovered and landed on their feet. The three glanced at each other and they all smirked. All right. Yosh. Prepare yourselves. While the three boys fought each other with everything they got, the girls were nearby having fun. Hina, I missed you, Naruko said as she hugged the Hyuga heiress from behind. Hinata Hyuga blushed and held the arms that were hugging her. She then turned around to look at her friend. Naru-chan, stop holding them. Naruko grinned teasingly and let go. They got bigger again, she shouted, causing her friend to blush again. TCH, she's younger than me and still has bigger, Tenten grumbled under her breath as she looked down at her own chest. Bunbun-chan, bigger what? Hanabi Hyuga asked innocently. Tenten gained a tick mark and glared at the young girl. Stop calling me Bunbun-chan. But Bunbun-chan has bun hair, Hanabi said and giggled. Tenten sighed and flicked the girl's forehead. Ouch. Ne-chan. Bunbun-chan hit me. Hinata looked at her younger sister and smiled. She walked towards her and kneeled in front of the little girl. Here Hanabi-chan. Hinata whispered and kissed her sister's forehead. Better now? Yay. Hanabi kissed Hinata's nose before giggling. Thank you Ne-chan. Ah, so cute. I wish I had siblings too, Naruko mumbled. Stupid girl. We're your sisters. We will always be here with you, Tenten said as she ruffled the girl's head. That's right Naru-chan, I already consider you as a family member, Hinata said, holding her friend's hand. Whiskers Ne-chan. Hanabi hugged the girl's leg and gave a toothy grin. Naruko teared up, as expected, and immediately hugged all of them. I'm really glad to have you guys in my life, Naruko said between sniffles. Suddenly, they heard some bushes rustling behind them. Whoa, what is this? Such feel, much bonding, wow, Naruto said while rubbing his chin. That's a weird way of talking Naruto-kun, I'll try it, such pants, much orange, wow, Lee said while inspecting Naruto's pants. Such eyebrows, much youth, wow. Neji can't resist adding in. What's with that stupid way of talking ya, shitty idiots, Tenten shouted with a tick mark on her head. Don't curse in front of children Tenten, Lee said in a scolding manner. Indeed. Calm yourself, Tenten, Neji added with a nod. Tenten twitched, completely pissed off. Without warning, she launched herself towards the two, and punched their faces simultaneously. Lee and Neji were sent crashing to a tree trunk. Whoa, you guys were powerful when fighting me just now yet you can't even dodge a punch? Damn. Naruto playfully mocked them. Before he could laugh however, Naruko had hand-chopped his head. Ouch. Silly Naruto-kun. Naruko giggled at him. Naruto pouted at Naruko before looking at Hinata and Hanabi, who were staring at him in interest. Ah, by the way, Naruto-kun. This is Hinata and her sister Hanabi. Naruko introduced Naruto to the Hyuga sisters. Both Hinata and Hanabi bowed politely at him. Nice to meet you Naruto-san. My name is Hinata Hyuga. Hinata smiled gently at him. Hanabi-chan, introduce yourself. The girl patted her younger sister's back. Hello. I'm Hanabi Hyuga and are Whiskers Ne-chan boyfriend? Hanabi said excitedly, causing Hinata to hit her sister's head, while both blondes blushed. Ouch, Ne-chan, why you did that? Please forgive my sister. Hinata bowed again, ignoring Hanabi's words. No worries, Hinata-chan, Naruto casually said. She was surprised at how friendly he is to someone he just met. Sue, are you dating Whiskers Ni-chan? Hanabi asked again with a laugh. Hinata sweat dropped while Naruko smiled at the little girl. He's not dating me, Hanabi-chan, at least not yet. She playfully added the last part with a wink, but unfortunately it was heard by Team Guy. Naruto suddenly felt shivers down his spine, and turned around, to see Lee releasing the weights on his hands, Neji activating his Byakugan, and Tenten taking out a huge-ass great sword out of nowhere. Why are you guys looking at me like that? Why is Tenten holding a buster sword? Naruto shouted in fear. Naruto-kun. Have you been making moves on Naruko-chan? Lee said as he assumed his Goken stance. What? Of course not. Then why did she say that? Neji said, his Byakugan glaring daggers at Naruto. Tenten was already swinging her great sword wildly, chopping several trees. It was obviously a joke. We're only 13, Naruto protested. Team Guy looked at him suspiciously before nodding. Okay, we believe you, Naruto-kun. Lee said, just so you know, anybody who wants to date Naruko had to go through us first. Neji added. She's too nice and trusting. We don't want her to be tricked by some dude, Tenten said as she sealed back her great sword in a scroll. And we will not let anybody date our pure and innocent Naruko-chan, Lee and Tenten shouted, while Neji nodded. Hinata and Hanabi clapped their hands, seemingly impressed while Naruko just laughed. See? Naruto rubbed the back of his head, he then grinned. So basically, you guys have sister complex. In the next minute, Naruko and the Hyuga sisters watched as Team Guy chased Naruto down while throwing barrage of weapons and vacuum palm, courtesy of Neji. Damn siscons, 30 minutes later, guys, it's already 9:30, have you guys had breakfast? I already ate, by the way. Tenten asked the group. Neji, Hinata and Hanabi nodded, while Naruto and Naruko shook their heads. I ate a banana, does that considered as breakfast? Lee asked, causing her to sweat drop. Yosh, let's go eat breakfast then, Naruto-kun, Naruko-chan. Naruto gave a thumb up while Naruko just nodded cheerfully. Let's just go together everyone, Naruko suggested, eager to hang out with them all. After all, she liked being surrounded by her friends and people in general. If you guys don't mind, she added. Of course, none would reject her proposal when she was so eager about it. They knew that she doesn't have any family members, so they'll try to fill that void in her life as much as they can. Of course, Naruko. Neji answered. Hinata and Hanabi also nodded with smiles. Tenten ruffled Naruko's hair while Lee kept on spouting the word, meat. Naruto watched their interactions, and thought about how lucky Naruko was to have so much trusted friends early on in her life. When he was 13, he really didn't have many friends. Most of the class either hated him or thought he was annoying, which was kinda true. Some students were neutral about him however, like Shino and Kiba. The former because he doesn't really care while the latter because he's equally loud as himself. Sasuke was his rival, and they had a bond, but they aren't exactly friends until they got placed in Team 7 together. The only ones that he can call friend was Shikamaru. The Nara once invited Naruto to take a nap with him, after the loud boy got scolded by Iruka-sensei earlier that day, and since then they often take naps and skip classes together. Choji too is a friend, to an extent. But Choji was usually busy with family matters back then. So Shikamaru was the person he hung out with the most, and they often made jokes about other students. Good times. Most of the village started to respect him after the Chunin exams, and after that his amount of friends and allies kept on increasing. After defeating Pain, he was pretty much the most popular ninja in Konoha and was revered by many. So a part of him wanted to feel jealous because of how lucky Naruko was, but yet, all Naruto could feel for her was happiness instead. He was happy because she had friends she could play with during her academy years. He was happy because her village didn't hate her as much as his village hated him. He was happy because she was not completely alone. Because in the end, he's Naruto Uzumaki, and Naruto Uzumaki will always love to see people being happy. Damn, that sounded corny as hell. Naruto muttered with a smile, while wiping some tears. Hinata saw this, and walked closer towards him. Naruto-san, what's wrong? She asked with her expression concerned. Naruto looked at her and smiled. Oh, it's nothing, Hinata-chan. I just got some dust in my eyes, he quickly replied. Hinata looked skeptical, before nodding with a smile. I won't pry any further, but you can talk to us anytime you want, okay? We're friends now, she said with her kind smile, before looking at Naruko again. Hinata, Naruto thought. He had always been astonished by her kindness. When Neji died, he almost gave up, but Hinata was the one who brought him back to his senses. He will forever indebted to her. That reminds me, Haven't answered her confession yet, Naruto suddenly remembered. Truth to be told, it's not like he didn't want to answer her, it's just that there were so many things going on that time and an answer to a confession was the last thing on his mind. And even if he did have time to answer her, he doubt he could, because he honestly didn't know what his love between two persons was. Sure, he said he loved Sakura, but that's kinda like how he loved ramen. He still loved her as a friend though. Plus after some time he realized that he only convinced himself that he liked her to compete with Sasuke in the first place, since Sakura liked the Uchiha. Of course he did have a genuine crush on her later, but ultimately he wouldn't say it's true love. In another timeline, he'll realize his love for Hinata after saving the world from a maniac with an advanced Byakugan, in which the whole event will get a movie. And then they will kiss each other under the moonlight, successfully making the whole fandom of the ship squealed like a fangirl after realizing they had blossomed after so many years. Anyway, this Naruto didn't manage to face all that, since he got transported to another universe before any of the events could happen. Hinata, Naruto said, prompting the Hyuga to turn to look at him again, surprised at the way he said her name without any honorifics. Why yes, Naruto-san? She answered, slightly confused. I hope you'll find a guy, or girl, if you swing that way, that will love you unconditionally and will make you happy all the time. I hope you'll get married to a great person, Naruto boldly said, causing everyone in the group to look at him with shocked face. Hinata was obviously the most surprised, and her face started to turn red. Naruto-san. What are you saying? What is this about marriage huh? Naruto jumped and hugged Hinata protectively. Anybody who wants to marry Hina-chan have to face me, her best friend first, the blonde girl said, rubbing her cheek with Hinata's. Hinata giggled, and held her friend's hands. Maybe I'll marry Naru-chan instead. Hinata laughed softly, before blushing after realizing what she just said. Naruto also blushed, and now they looked like a pair of tomatoes. Suuuuperrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr girls stared at each other. Naruto then grinned, and leaned closer to her friend, their noses now touching. Both of them giggled with smiles on their faces. I don't mind marrying Hinata-chan. Ya, no. Suuuuperrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr don't realize was their faces were red, causing Tenten to know what they were thinking. Damn perverts. Tenten shouted as she smacked the boys' heads with her paper fan. Hey, when will we have our breakfast? Hanabi said, causing everyone to stop what they were doing. Oh yeah, breakfast. Let's go. Naruto enthusiastically said. But where should we eat? Let's eat at Yakiniku-Q. Naruto-kun never ate there before, right? Lee suggested. I want to eat some curry rice with meat. I agree. It's one of the most popular restaurants in Konoha. I'm sure Naruto-san would love to eat the food there. Hinata said, agreeing with Lee's suggestion. But isn't that restaurant a little expensive, Hinata-sama? Neji asked his cousin. Naruto secretly agreed, since he remembered that he didn't have any money right now. Neji, we already ate, remember? Only the Hyper Trio hasn't eaten yet, Tenten said, while pointing at Naruto, Naruko and Lee. Who are you calling Hyper Trio? Naruto shouted. Naruto just laughed while Lee started throwing kicks and shouting, Yosh, even more. Naruto-kun, we should be honored to be called that. If one day we three got grouped together in a mission, our squad name should be that. Like hell we do. After a round of laughing, they decided to go to Yakiniku-Q, where a certain Pineapple Head and his chubby friend were eating. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.